Hello lovely people, this is my bandwagon unpopular opinions video. If you're triggered, which I don't know why you would be, feel free to tell me in the comments. I actually enjoy hearing others' opinions. How can you grow your beliefs without them being challenged? Anyways, enjoy! Groups don't need to change their concepts if they don't want to. Sometimes it's nice to get something new and different. But groups like Twice are still releasing bops even if it's the same concept they've always had. If they don't want to change, they don't have to. I will not stan Luna. Don't get me wrong, I think the girls are very talented. But I can't get into their music, it's just boring to me. The only solo I can get into is Choose. I don't find anything outstanding about their music. Plus their fandom is pushy. Every time I hear "Stan Luna," it drives me farther and farther away. Just not my cup of tea. Groups who don't write their own music aren't lesser than those who do. I always feel a stronger connection to songs written by the members, personally. But I do not look down on groups who do not. They are already working so hard and not everyone can be gifted enough to have bops coming out of their ass. I'd like to see you try to write and compose an entire song. It's not easy. Members do not have to write their own music to be incredibly talented and amazing. I have no faith that BTS will top Wings and You Never Walk Alone. It's no secret that DNA was easily BTS's worst comeback. Spring Day, Not Today and Blood, Sweat and Tears were all god tier, and I don't as of now see BTS ever getting back to that point. BTS are my ULT group, but their music is deteriorating. Be pressed as you want. I don't think we'll ever have as good of music as Just One Day and Blood, Sweat and Tears. G-Idol should have debuted later, though La Tata is a bop. CLC is just going to get pushed to the side. We all know Black Dress and Distance are fantastic songs, they deserve so much more. But Cube is going to give everything to G-Idol. It's a true shame. You are no less a fan of a group if you aren't part of the fandom. You don't have to be completely immersed in the fandom, know everything about the group, or buy merch to be a good fan. Just because you don't know what Soo Young was wearing on the 8th of October or what all the members' dogs' names are doesn't mean you're a bad fan. And if you're that extreme of a fan, maybe you should try thinking about getting more hobbies. You aren't a fan of K-pop if you only listen to one group. I see this especially in the army. If you only listen to BTS, you are a fan of BTS, not K-pop. K-pop is an entire genre of music. You can't say you're a fan of it if you only listen to 0.0001% of it. That's like saying I'm a fan of the Avengers when all I've done is follow Tom Holland on Instagram. It doesn't work. If you only stan one group, open your horizons. There are potentially thousands of groups and songs that are fantastic and you'll enjoy. Comparing groups is ugly AF. I hear too much of others comparing EXO and BTS's rap and vocal lines. And it's truly only adding to fan wars and promoting toxic behavior. Every group is different and special in their own way. Comparing them does absolutely nothing. It's hard to compare something when they're both so completely different. Jealousy by Monsta X is their best comeback in a long time. Personally, I never got into Dramarama, but when Jealousy came out I was praising to the heavens. That song is truly beauty served on a plate and people need to appreciate it for what it's truly. Mamamoo is incredibly problematic. I can't bring myself to stan them after the blackface. I just truly can't. Mamamoo has done so many problematic things. I do the best I can to avoid them at all costs. I didn't notice Kyla from Priston's weight until I heard about it on Twitter. I know this is old news. Maybe it's because I'm not Korean and most Westerners are into being thick right now. But I genuinely didn't even realize it. International fans made it blow up too much. It's not a big deal. You aren't superior just because you hate third-gen K-pop. Music is always evolving. K-pop isn't going to stay the same forever. First and second-gen K-pop is fantastic, but so is third-gen. Just because you trash-talk third-gen music 24/7 doesn't make you any better than anyone else. It just makes you look ugly. Same thing goes for third-gen K-pop stans who trash early K-pop. None of you guys are superior. Stop acting like it. Most fandoms are toxic. Every fandom, K-pop or not, is littered with problematic stans. Don't get upset when other fandoms call you out. More than likely they're not talking about you. Unless you're getting triggered by it, then they're definitely talking about you. The best way to avoid fan wars is not to interact. Don't be idiots. Just stick to your own business and your own group. Only then would fan wars not be so common and such a big deal. Well, thanks for listening to my unpopular opinions. Feel free to share your opinions or disagreements with my video. I'm not a whiny bitch. I can handle criticism. Alright, goodbye lovelies.